All right, everyone, here we are with another video with Invest for tomorrow. And to all the first time viewers and investors, welcome to the channel. And to all the subscribers, welcome back. All I ask for in return is for you to smash that like button to let me know you watch this video and to stay tuned on in right after this chart analysis to talk about a stock that I've been mentioning for the last week. And also I did a full video talking about it, as well as I mentioned it on the Patreon. And we're going to look at some of the home runs that we've hit in the last week or two with the Discord, the Patreon, and everything put together. So if that's something that interests you, you can join me and the other members. The links are down below to the Patreon or Discord, and we're 90 plus members already, on our way to 100, and we look forward to have you join us, smart, intelligent investors over at the Discord and Patreon that are all looking to learn and grow together to maximize profits and minimize losses. So if that's something that interests you, once again, the links are down below. You can check out the tiers. The slots are filling up pretty quickly, and we look forward to have you join us so that you can learn to maximize profits and minimize losses. So here we are with SOS Limited, and it's sitting slightly sideways, but it hit a big low here, right? A whole new low at the beginning of the day, ran back up, and then kind of sitting sideways. So what are we going to look for here, right? Going into Monday. So the first thing is the 50-day moving average, 457. We're in bearish territory, and anything above it is bullish. So this actually hit a support here on this sideways movement of right here at this point of 428. It's currently sitting at 432. So we want to watch that carefully and how this reacts between 428 and the low here of 411 if the bulls try to reappear and bring it back up, or are the bears tearing this one down fairly fast, okay? Super important to watch and keep that in mind. Now, what's our resistance? Now, our resistance is a little bit narrowed down here at 439, and that's just an indicator to let us know where this is moving upwards. But I would actually use the high of the day, since it breaks through the 50-day moving average of 457 and hits a newer high at 460. That's our true resistance level that the bulls need to break through to get back into bullish territory, pull away from the 50-day moving average, and hit newer highs and new resistance levels. So I do want every single investor and viewer to be aware of that. Now, this low down here, you want to watch it carefully. 411, super important moving forward. And this stock has been in a downward trend since it did that big jump there. And then also the fact that it had other jumps in the past. But this was the most recent jump, and it's just been falling ever since. Yeah, it's had a few spikes here and there, and you can see it, but nothing too strong or strong enough to say, hey, this stock really jumped and had potential to the upside. Now, I had a lot of people yesterday in the comments ask me, what does this have to do at all with Coinbase, right? Because I was actually comparing its reaction to Coinbase, and I'm just stating that it's slightly a sympathy play with Coinbase, because Coinbase right now, anything Bitcoin or anything that has to do with Bitcoin mining, anything that has to do with Bitcoin in general, is going to directly and indirectly be affected by Coinbase, because Coinbase, it's not necessarily Tesla, but it could be the top dog in this sector when it comes to the publicly traded companies, that whatever Coinbase does will have an impact indirectly or directly to some of these stocks. SOS is a different, whole entire thing, and they're a Bitcoin mining company and all that fun stuff that people talk about or like state, and everyone's just asking me like, what does this have to really do with coin? And I stated, if it actually went the opposite direction, there might be a detachment, or it's indirectly affected by it in some way. So let's look up coin here so that we can see this together. So basically, this sat sideways. It kind of jumped and sat sideways. So when we look at Coinbase here, Coinbase has actually been running, right? It hit a high of 345 and picked up. So is it really directly or indirectly being affected? I would say no, it's not really being affected fully, but it is something to be aware of. They're not in any shape or form in correlation by default, and it's like SOS and Coinbase are going hand in hand. It just was a very interesting day yesterday that almost everything that has to do with Bitcoin had an effect downwards pretty strong. A lot of people said too, well, the overall market. Well, let me show you the S&P 500. The S&P 500, yeah, it pulled back a little bit on the 14th, but it's been running every single day. So that wasn't the market. It was just the overall penny stocks were pulling down and stuff, but everything that had to do with Bitcoin had a pullback. Even another stock that I've mentioned several times over at the Patreon had a pullback yesterday. You can see it right here, drastic pullback. It even had it the day before when Coinbase started to fall really fast. So it's like these pullbacks are sympathy or indirectly being affected by Coinbase. Now, I'm not saying in any shape or form that SOS is directly in correlation to Coinbase. I just want people to be aware of it and pay close attention to it. There might be a detachment already, or it could detach at some point, or Coinbase has to run significantly so that SOS can start moving. Because remember, Coinbase moves $20. That's like moving 20 cents on SOS. So there's some things to watch. Don't take it as me literally saying, yes, they're like in correlation directly. It's just something to be mindful of. If there's a detachment or there's no correlation, okay, each one is their own thing. I just want every single investor and viewer to be open to watching these behaviors to see if there's a pattern. If you guys learned something new, don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to not miss a single video that I post. Share this with your friends and community. And don't forget to smash that like button to let me know you watch this video. And let's talk about the stocks that were home runs this week. All right, everyone, here we are with another video with Invest for tomorrow. And to all the first-time viewers and investors, welcome to the channel. And to all the subscribers, welcome back. So I'm going to talk about some stocks that have exploded within the last 2 weeks, and specifically the one on the screen that exploded today. Now, these are all stocks that I talk about over at the Discord and even on the Patreon, and some of these have had some multiple days of jumps, right? So if this is all something that interests you and you want to gain access to my weekly watch list over at the Patreon, the link is down below. And if you want to see my daily watch list and opportunities, the link is down below to the Discord. We have 90 plus members already, intelligent and smart investors collectively, all as a community. And if you want to become part of it, we look forward to have you join us. We are all in a goal, and that one goal is to make money, maximize profits, minimize losses, and become better investors. So we got quite a list here. So I went ahead and talked about Clover Health on the 11th. I stated everything going on with it and why it jumped, and my personal opinion, right? This is not financial advice or anything like that, or I'm telling you to buy, sell, or hold any positions, but anything below $10 is interesting to me. And it was actually sitting at around close to $8 at that time. Let's go ahead and look at it here. It was at $8.21 and it jumped high, right? It jumped almost to $9 and some change on the news. And I pointed out some key interesting points here, and it actually started to pull back downwards after that, right? And we saw it pulling downwards. When I put this here at $7.29, I emphasized that for a reason. I was looking for that support because that could be the next point of consolidation after pulling back, or the next point before a jump. So I pointed that out. I didn't state it on the post. I circled it here. It was every Patreon member's basically homework to look at that and pay attention to that. And then I also circled the price, the current price. And when we look here, right, at this chart as it was pulling downwards, I would missed it by a little bit. It hit a low of 713, but where it consolidated was close to 730, 729. I pointed that out for a reason. And then from that point forward is where it took off, right? It gave us 20% closing on the day, and it hit a high here of $10, giving 30% plus. Now, it doesn't mean that I told you about it here and it was guaranteed that this was going to happen. You wanted to watch it for weakness, and you had two approaches. You would either swing trade this, day trade this, or if you really like the investment and the stock and the company, you look at it as a long-term opportunity. But I'm here to maximize profits, minimize losses, regardless of what your goal is, because I focus in on, like I stated, 729 is the support I was looking for to get the best price before the next jump, or the best price within that week. And we saw that. that's a clear example of what goes on the weekly watch list. Now, what goes on in the Discord is a little bit different. So these are two that I talked about within the last week. I talked about SFET at 160, and then I talked about dogs at 215, right? I talk about what they're doing and why they're up and what's making them run. So SFET at 160, it ran from this point up to about 170, right? It gave us 10 cents there. That was close to almost 5%. Pulled back and ran up, giving a high of about 15 to 20%, hitting close to the 180 plus mark, right? Getting really close to that area. So that was one that jumped. Then another one that we had was dogs, right? So dogs was in the situation that it was sitting at 215. It was kind of consolidating. It had jumped up and towards the bell ran from 215 all the way up close to 253, 254, and then collapse. So this is all about timing too. This is not like you just jump in and it's going to go up. You got to catch the dips or catch them while they're consolidating and pay close attention to volume behavior. There's a lot to learn. It's not like you just jump in and, just because I stayed a stock, it's going to go up, stuff like that. It doesn't work like that. Now, here's another one that I mentioned, right? And you can't see it in this screenshot here because this is a screenshot in regards to the next day, because these are other stocks that I mentioned that did pretty well as well. One gave almost 30%. The other one gave around 10%. But this is what I want you guys to focus on. This stock, when I first mentioned it, it was close to $3. And I had stated it has to pull back. It was like at 302, between 302 and 305. Close to 304, around that area. And it had jumped back to it at the point that I did this message. But VTVT was sitting around there, and I stated this needs to fall between $2.90 and $3. We need to watch for weakness and see how volume picks up, basically, in the previous message to that one. And here we have VTVT fell close to $2.90. It hit like $2.89, $2.88, and then it bounced up 8%, coming back up close to $3.02 and 3 cents, and then pulled down to a low, right, close to 277, and it ran up, right, for an exit of 15% jump, right, closer to 15 to 20%, but it ran up big from 277 all the way up close to 340, 345, around that area, okay, and then it pulled back, and that was another opportunity of entry, and ran up to 370. So if you caught it at this dip or right here and you rode it for the day, regardless, you had opportunities to make 8%, 10%, 15%, 20%, even up to 30% on the day, 30% plus. This was a home run. Will this happen every day? No. But this was an awesome home run that I mentioned, and I stated clearly what to look for. And when it was at 304, it seemed to be a wall, and if that got broken through, it was awesome. And then I also asked everyone, hey, did you guys see the high of 355 so far? It went even higher than that. Did anyone take a shot? I was talking to the Patreon members. Another one I talked about was BTBT, and I also talked about MBRX. They did really well for that week. But these are other ones here that I talked about. So let's look at this one. 10X, right? TENX. This is 10X Therapeutics Inc. They had news come out. I mentioned it at 202. Jumped up, right, for a 10% within minutes. Pulled back. Hit a low here of about 205 and jumped up 20% in just an hour, hitting 245 at the high. That was spectacular. This was another home run on the 9th. That was the day after. So another one that we did was here, and that is BTBT. This is the one I talked about. So I did mention it when it was around $18. I stated it jumped from $15 to $18, and I stated there in that screenshot there, it's running, it needs volume, it's below 1 million, and then I state a little bit who they are, and that this could have a sympathy play, right, with everything that has to do with Bitcoin and Coinbase coming out. So it pulled back pretty hard, and it ran from that point forward all the way up to $19, right? That gave a big opportunity, right? When I mentioned it, entry point, first opportunity to get out, and second opportunity to get out depending on how bullish you felt. Now, another one I mentioned, right, which is Clover Health. Back to it again to emphasize this for the week. This has nothing to do with the Discord. This was the weekly watch list. Is the fact that I circled, right, to put emphasis on what to look for, where it looked even more interesting than below $10. And then I also point out the RSI, what's going on the MACD, and what you want to watch for. And then throughout that week, all it did was actually pull back, right? We saw it slightly jump up, right, on the beginning of the week. And if I pull it up, you can see it here on the 12th. It pulled down, it just fell, and then it jumped up to level off. And then it continued holding itself between the 13th, the 14th, and collapsed. The 15th hit a low, and it was sitting around 729, 730 range, right around that area that I stated and I circled. And from that point forward, this stock jumped today, right? Big opportunity. This stock was explosive, but not any more explosive than the others that we find on the Discord. This one was a little bit more slower, and this was all about the anticipation that was coming. Now, did I expect it to happen within this same week? No. I expected it in the next following week or the next weeks to come. Well, it certainly happened pretty fast. Now, this is definitely a stock to do more research on and see how it continues to react moving forward. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If it interests you and you want to be part of this in our community, that's 90 plus members. We're on our way to 100. You can join us. The links are down below to the Discord and Patreon. We look forward to having you join us. And it's a community where we're looking to learn and grow together to maximize profits and minimize losses. Thank you guys so much.